Farm Week is a production of the Mississippi State University Extension Service.
Today on Farm Week, Republican leaders in the U.S. House of Representatives failed to get support for their call to extend the present farm bill for 1 year.
The nation's drought continues to deepen. Observers are trying to figure out what's been lost.
In today's Southern Gardening, we'll show you how to make outdoor living a part of your landscape.
In the markets, huge stocks and a lack of demand pressure cotton futures. As traders watch to see if December corn stabilizes at $8 and makes another leg higher.
In the feature segment today, next Monday, a feeder cattle sale will take place in Mississippi, but without the cattle. The annual Home Place sale in Hattiesburg is a video sale that's bringing extra value and money to small Mississippi cattle producers.
The first year, I figured I made $43 extra when I looked at the commission and the shrink. The next year, we ended up with $83 extra per animal. And then last year, we had $111.
Good day, everyone. I'm Leighton Spann.
And I'm Artis Ford. Welcome to Farm Week.
Late last week, it appeared that the present farm bill might be extended, but that's not the case anymore.
Leighton, by Tuesday, Republican leaders in the U.S. House of Representatives saw they did not have the votes to pass a one-year extension. So instead, they're focusing on passing immediate help for livestock producers being affected by the drought. As of our production time on Thursday, the House planned to work on a one-year only $383 million drought assistance bill for livestock. U.S. Senate Majority Leader Democrat Harry Reid of Nevada signaled his willingness to support the House disaster plan. While the U.S. Senate has passed its version of the Farm Bill, conservatives and Democrats in the House can't come together on how to cut farm subsidies and the food stamp program. Several mainline farm groups, including the American Farm Bureau, were also opposed to an extension. The Farm Bill is scheduled to expire at the end of September. The temporary disaster bill is needed since some livestock disaster programs have expired. Both the House and the Senate Farm Bill versions restore these programs, but there's no guarantee that a new Farm Bill will pass by September 30th.
Meanwhile, U.S. Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack declared another 218 counties in 12 states as primary natural disaster areas. Marshall County in Mississippi was one of those. It joins the already declared counties of Benton, DeSoto, Hancock, Panola, Tate, and Tunica. The drought's effects are spreading like ripples. Market to Market's Mike Pearson reports.
The same problem plaguing upper Midwest row crops is being felt in Southern Plains cotton fields. Planted acres look green, but closer inspection reveals the worst.
If we could continue to get some timely rains, we could go ahead and make a decent crop. But as this heat is kind of kicked in, and if it stays like this, we're going to go down in a hurry.
Cotton in Oklahoma is grown on both dry land and irrigated fields. Last season, a good portion of the crop failed to emerge, and what did come up was hardly worth mentioning. The USDA reports 75% of the Sooner State's cotton is in fair to very poor condition. By some indications, much of what has emerged is expected to produce 50% or less of normal crop. Concern over bad weather 2 years in a row has some worried about the effect on the local economy. In 2010, 120,000 bales of cotton were processed at the Cotton Gin in Altus, Oklahoma, but last year the doors to the local business never opened.
So you can think about all of the inputs and all of the associated economic activity that would have been surrounding 120,000 bales, the bringing it in, the ginning of it, and the movement of that product, both the seed and the lint, and then going to a zero in 2011. That's a really tough hit on the economy.
Faced with prospects of corn prices falling to $4 a bushel earlier this season, the Iowa Farm Bureau planned an economic summit. Now, with corn closer to $8 a bushel, discussion in Ames was dominated by the weather. Water sources have started to evaporate, forcing some municipalities to call for voluntary conservation in the hopes of avoiding mandatory rationing. Taylor says 8% of the U.S. corn crop has already been lost. He expects that figure to double if hot and dry weather patterns persist. And he predicts inconsistent production in the years ahead.
This is the fourth period of consistent yields. The other 3 periods of consistent yields since we started keeping records are 19 years long each. Last year was year 19.
Now, Taylor says we're entering a period of 25 years where volatile yields will become the new normal. Corn and soybean producers, of course, aren't the only ones impacted by the drought. Reduced production has serious implications for the ethanol industry.
We are kind of expecting that 2012 will be the first time since '96 that we haven't seen growth in production.
Jeff Cooper of the Renewable Fuels Association says his industry has run at 85% capacity since the beginning of the year. Faced with soaring corn prices, more than 20 ethanol facilities have shut down. Cooper says the ethanol industry will meet the 35 billion gallon production mandate, but the months ahead are going to be challenging.
It's going to be a very difficult operating environment for the ethanol industry over the next, certainly over the next 12 to 18 months.
Livestock producers are watching their profit margins shrink due to increased corn prices. Beef production is off nearly 4% in 2012, while pork looks to expand, albeit slowly. Chad Hart, Iowa State University's extension economist, says the record commodity market runs of 2012 reflect a similar situation in 2008, with one notable exception.
That year, weather improved, demand did not, and we saw things drop off the table. This year, we know that weather condition is having an impact on production. That will help hold prices up, unlike 2008. But at the same time, we've got to recognize that that high price is eroding the demand we have for our crop. It will put a top to this market, because while we may be able to grow some corn, people may not be able to afford it. And I'm looking at the livestock feeders, I'm looking at the ethanol industry. There's only so much they can pay for corn.
Well, are you looking for more ways to enjoy your garden and landscape? In this week's Southern Gardening segment, Extension horticulturist Dr. Gary Bachman shows us one couple's solution for outdoor living.
Creating an enjoyable outdoor environment is all about combining the living space with the garden and landscape. Today I'm visiting with my friends Linda and John, admiring their wonderful outdoor kitchen area. This is an amazing outdoor space. The outdoor kitchen is equipped with all the comforts needed for outdoor living and entertaining, including this massive wooden table from Indonesia. The planting beds around the kitchen area are bordered with round field stone, which is a nice contrast to the angular stone of the kitchen. The combination of white flowered vinca and the bold red of penta add to the strong texture of the stonework. The tubular flowers of the penta are great for attracting butterflies to the landscape. An easy way to bring color and interest to any patio is with plants in interesting containers. I really like the dark stone urns with the red mandevilla climbing up the column and the lysomachia dripping out over the edge. These containers of mixed sedums and other succulents mix well with the rough texture of the stonework. These plants offer a variety of color and texture. They also really like the hot and dry conditions. While the kitchen has an open and airy feel, Linda has painted window panes and artwork hanging in the openings to create the illusion of being more room-like. While it's pretty hot out right now, I can imagine relaxing on a fall afternoon with a cool beverage watching football on the flat screen. I'm horticulturist Gary Bachman for Southern Gardening.
Gary says start small with your first outdoor room and then you'll learn to enjoy your landscape even more. In the feature segment today, these Mississippi feeder cattle have become video stars as a result of the Home Place Feeder Cattle Sale. It's scheduled for Monday. Time now for the markets with Leighton, and you say the biggest buyer of U.S. soybeans is in the spotlight this week?
It is. We'll be reporting on the soy industry leader's visit to China in a moment. Also ahead this week in this segment, grain prices spike up and down. Cotton faces a demand problem, and the beef sector expects more herd liquidation in the United States. Analysts report the condition of our nation's corn crop continues to decline. Almost half of the U.S. crop now rated poor to very poor. At the Wednesday close of the market's December corn closed right on support, though, at $8. Traders say that support needs to hold if the corn market is going to make yet another leg higher. Well, in the drought-stricken Midwest, there has been some rain this week, and it's generally thought the showers could be beneficial to the soybean crop, even if it was too late for the corn. Demand for bean remains strong, and price will have to ration a limited supply. Analysts say they believe November will need to close above $16.91 if the uptrend in price is to be extended. Well, China is the #1 buyer of U.S. soybeans, and members of the U.S. Soybean Export Council have been in that country this week celebrating the ongoing trade partnership. Last year, Chinese imported 895 million bushels of whole U.S. beans. Now, that's more than half of all U.S. soybean exports. In the cotton market these days, the outlook for U.S. production is slipping. Now, while that is a supportive factor for prices, it is counterbalanced by the fact that global stocks of cotton are still huge. Analyst Tom Fitzenmeyer says there's also another problem for this market.
Longer term, the demand for cotton is not so good. That high price we had a couple years ago really killed the demand for cotton. And this is always what happens. You get cotton prices high, and all of a sudden the designers and all the people that are involved in the clothing industry all of a sudden start designing stuff for synthetics. And the synthetics come in, cotton gets hurt, and that's what's happened here. The demand for cotton has been reduced, and I think you're going to see it just chop around here probably in this, the low 70s for a while. Before that demand, it gets cheap enough that demand starts to shift back toward cotton again.
The rice market shares one characteristic with that cotton market. There are big world stocks of the commodity right now. Analysts also note that slow export demand doesn't bode well at all for the future. Traders are not anticipating any significant upward move in rice prices. Well, our trivia quiz this week combines the topics of livestock and drought, so let's take a look at it now. How much of the U.S. cattle inventory is located in regions of drought? The possible answers: 25%, 48%, 62%, or even 70%. I'll tell you which one is correct shortly.
We're going to pause for a short break on Farm Week. Coming up, we'll look at the calendar and the second part of the markets. Leighton Spann reports tough times could be ahead for the beef market. In the feature segment today, the Mississippi Home Place Producers Feeder Cattle Sale. Using video, the cattle don't even come to the sale barn. The sale helps small cattlemen to work together to reap extra profits.
I've got a lot of choices to make in the coming years, and I really want to make sure that I get it all right. I want to discover who I am, where I belong, what my dreams are. I want to find my hidden talents and see where those skills can take me in the future. I need leadership given today to help me make the right decisions tomorrow. And I have that with Mississippi 4-H.
Now, before we get back to the markets, let's look at the Farm Week calendar. The North Mississippi Research and Extension Center of Mississippi State University will hold its annual Row Crops Field Day on Thursday, August 9th. The location is the conference room at the Lee County Agri Center on Highway 145 at Verona. That's where the tours will start. Hours are 8:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Corn nitrogen management and using poultry litter for fertilizer are just a few of the items on the agenda. The annual Muscadine Field Day of Mississippi State University will be Thursday, August 16th. This year, the location will be at the Beaumont Branch Experiment Station instead of the usual site near Poplarville. The Beaumont Station also participates in evaluating muscadine varieties. The free program runs from 8:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. Muscadine insects, fertilization, diseases, and how to grow them will be covered. The Beaumont Experiment Station is on Highway 15 between the towns of Beaumont and Richton. It's 9 miles south of Richton and 5 miles north of Beaumont. Go to our Farm Week website at farmweek.msucares.com for information on these and other events. Now check out this week's Farm Week Snapshot.
Many analysts are not exactly optimistic about the outlook for the feeder cattle market. Analyst Sue Martin lays out her expectations as well as some concerns for this sector of the beef industry.
Well, I think the cattle market is got some tough times to go ahead. We'll get some bounces, but this heat has really worked over demand. Now the rain's coming up and cooling on the East Coast is going to be a godsend here for a little bit. But to be honest with you, the drop in the feeder market's going to continue, I think. I fear, we've had wave 4 counts on the downside, but rallies are going to be met with selling. And we're going to continue to see a liquidation of cows coming off of pastures and moving into the packing houses, and then the calves going to auctions. Lightweight calves will have a home easily. The heavier weight ones, because they're going to demand corn feeding, probably will be taking a drop in price.
Here's that answer for our first trivia quiz of the month of August. The last choice is the correct one this week, D. Cattle Facts reports that 70% of the U.S. cattle inventory is located in regions of drought. Over 2,000 calves are slated to sell on Monday, August 6th at the Mississippi Home Place Producer Sale in Hattiesburg. The Mississippi State University Extension Service partners with several organizations to make this annual event happen. Cattle producers as well as cattle buyers say this particular video auction is always advantageous to them. It's also beneficial to the cattle being sold. This feature story takes us to visit producers in Philadelphia and Macon, as well as to the sales arena in Hattiesburg. When it comes to marketing cattle, being able to sell in 50,000-pound load lots or in uniform groups puts the most money back in a producer's pocket. But it's not practical for most Mississippi farmers to do on their own.
The main thing is, very few cattlemen in the state have the ability to put together a truckload of calves by themselves.
That's why the Extension Service partnered with Farm Bureau, the Beef Cattle Improvement Association, and the Cattlemen's Association to create another marketing option, the Mississippi Home Place Producer Sale.
If you don't have a partner, if you've got 20 or 30, 40 calves you need to sell, you can contact John Kilgore, Mike Keene, any of the extension guys or Farm Bureau, and they will work with you to find somebody that your calves match up with. You don't necessarily have to find it yourself.
Yeah, the agents work with the producers in their particular counties, or the area agents work with producers maybe spread over several counties and try to put the cattle together that are the like kind and quality and muscle and type, and to make a 50,000-pound load.
In Johnny Thompson's case, he partnered with another Neshoba County producer, Shelby Beeson. Together, they formed a uniform load of cattle for the 2011 Home Place Producer Sale.
Me and Johnny, in this instance, we have to work together to run the same type bulls, calf in a shorter window of time, and to try to get as uniform a calf as we can. And then when we wean and precondition, we try to do it alike and do it at the same time, so that the cattle will be as close to have the same health protocol. We commingled them at weaning. Johnny has a better facility here for mixing feed and feeding it.
So by being able to commingle your calves and put them in the sale, it allows the smaller producers to be able to take advantage of the price advantage of being able to sell in the truckload sales.
Consignments to the Home Place Sale are usually due in June each year. The actual auction occurs each August at Southeast Mississippi Livestock in Hattiesburg, and the event is managed as a board sale. Unlike traditional livestock auctions, there are no cattle moving across the floor of the sale barn. The cattle are still on their home farms. Buyers are looking at livestock on video screens on the wall and placing their bids. The auction is also streamed live on the internet by the Extension Service. The video of each lot was available to view before the sale on an internet website, along with a written description of the cattle. This type of sale is attractive to buyers because it is a much more efficient way to do business and saves them lots of time.
And those buyers, we're going to sit there and sell 30 to 40 truckloads of calves in an hour or hour and a half, where normally it would take them weeks to put those cattle together out at the sale barns, buying them one at a time. So it's a big time saving for them.
The fact that cattle are not actually on site for the auction makes things easier for the stockyard, which adds to the price advantage the home place sale can offer to producers.
Well, we are able to sell the cattle at a discount commission for them. There's less handling and labor involved in the board sale cattle, which a lot of them shipped off the farm, and a lot of our help is not involved. That enables us to sell them a little cheaper for them, which puts a little more money back in their pocket.
If you go to the local sale, they're going to charge you about a 5.5% commission, yardage, insurance. You know, they have to make money to stay in business. With our home place sale, we take a flat 2% commission. That's what the sale barn at Hattiesburg gets, is 2% to handle all the transactions.
Cattleman Jacob McGehee of Macon has sold livestock in every one of the home place sales. The 2011 auction was the fourth one in the history of the event. McGehee vividly remembers his involvement in the very first one.
Our first sale, I didn't have a complete load. I commingled with the Prairie Experiment Station and Mike Howell, and we put together a load, and we loaded out up at our Prairie Experiment Station. But that made a believer of me.
McGehee says he likes to put together a load of steers all the same color, with 100 pounds or less variation from lightest to heaviest. In 2011, his big steers averaged 886 pounds. The Macon farmer says each year of the home place sale, he makes a little more money per head.
The first year, I figured I made $43 extra when I looked at the commission and the shrink. The next year, we ended up with $83 extra per animal. And then last year, we had $111.
Johnny Thompson and Shelby Beeson of Philadelphia also feel like the home place producer sale is a worthwhile option for marketing feeder cattle in Mississippi.
The way I figured it, the shrinks, commissions, and other things by putting together the truckload sales, I figure it's worth 7 to 8 cents a pound for every pound we put in this sale versus going to the local sale barn. And that amounts up on a 50,000 pound load of calves.
Well, it was just an alternative market to where I could add value to my cattle and be paid for what extra things that I've done. Preconditioning, giving them their vaccines, and then being able to combine them with other growers to have a truckload lot for a buyer to buy.
Since the cattle are not brought to the auction for the home place sale, feeder calves that might not be ready to ship on a certain day can be accommodated due to the fact there's some flexibility in arranging future delivery. Some calves will be shipped from their home farm soon after the sale, and some calves will be shipped at an agreed upon later date, depending on target weights. These calves are being shipped from McGehee Cattle Company in Macon about 6 weeks after the sale. When the loadout date arrives, the home place sale provides electronic scales on site at the loadout location, which are used as the cattle are being put into the truck. The entire process ensures accuracy, and buyers know they are getting top quality cattle that haven't experienced the stress and health challenges that come from mixing with other livestock in a public sale.
As long as the people are doing the hard work with the cattle and making them better and making them uniform, and Extension Service and Farm Bureau people work with us, this thing will just grow and grow, I think.
The fourth annual Home Place Producer Sale in 2011 featured over 3,500 head of cattle in 43 loads. The sale generated over $2.8 million in total receipts.
We're getting a little more money for the cattle, but we're also reducing expenses. So we feel like our producers are putting a few positive dollars in their pocket, and And with the high cost of all the other inputs that they in the cattle industry today, that's helping out.
From Hattiesburg, Mississippi, I'm Leighton Spann reporting. Go to our Farm Week website if you'd like to see this story again, farmweek.msucares.com. You can also watch it on YouTube and Facebook, and we will also have some links there about the home place sale and the sale catalog as well, all at farmweek.msucares.com.
And of course, we urge you, if you go to the sale, see what it's like, and talk to the producers there, talk to the Extension folks and the Farm Bureau folks, and get an idea about whether you want to participate. And you see the kind of money, the difference it can make.
It makes a difference, and the buyers obtain healthier animals as well.
Mr. McGehee, got that red hair? That means he's a smart man. Go to our Farm Week website for the information. Now, at the next show, Gaining Ground Sustainability Institute of Mississippi.
This organization promotes locally grown natural food products as well as building relationships between consumers and growers. Its vision is to help Mississippi showcase ideas for sustainable living.
And Southern Gardening, see how to turn your shady places into show places where you'll be glad to hide from the sun. For the rest of the Farm Week crew, I'm Artis Ford.
And I'm Leighton Spann. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.